The name of the Most High, Yahweh, is right on the stone.
Yep, and that's, I believe, it's line 18, and it actually, but it says when Esau had translated it, right? It says, Ashta Kamash, I took the vessels of Yahweh, but here it's written the way Esau says it, Yahweh, and I dragged them before Kimash, which is this king was worshiping this. That was a god of the Moabites, Kamash, and the king of Israel had built Yahaz. It goes on, but as you go down like to the 20th verse or the 20th line, it says, I took from Moab 200 men, all his captains, and I brought them to Yahaz, and I seized it. So he's talking about how he came up against Israel. And if you go down to the 31st line of the Moabite stone, it says I carried there my herdsmen. It says to herd the small cattle of the land, and Horonian, in it dwelt house of, it says DV, and that's for David. Now if you go to the actual stone, you can see the word dawa, da, and da. Okay, and over here in the 12th line, it says the city became the property of Chemosh, which I'm going to say it again, was a god of the Moabites, which this King Mesha worship, and Moab. And the reason why the Moabite stone or the Mesha stele was written in ancient Hebrew, because they were the neighbors south of the Israelites. So they spoke that same language. When they took over the Canaanites, as they were instructed to do by the Most High Yahweh B'Ashem Yahshai, what writings was on those houses? The ancient Hebrew. That's why to this day they call it the Canaanite tongue or the Phoenician tongue. All right, it says, I lost my place. Okay, it says, I'm sorry, it says 12. The city became the property of Chemosh, which is a god of Moab, and I carried from there the altar for its, it says DVDH. It's Davidic altar. So he kept referring, this king of Moab kept referring to King David, and he even mentioned the name of the Most High. So you got this clown, this guy, we were just talking about him. Shaka Utmost. Shaka Utmost. That's what you call, Sonetta call him Utmost. His actual name is Amos, and he basically is challenging all the Hebrews, and he said that he's willing to cut off that lock of his, and he mentioned certain guys. But he made a statement in that video. The video was just put up a couple of hours ago. He said that when you speak about the so-called Egyptian rulers, he said, I can show you that they actually exist by what they dug up. And then his question was, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not saying it word for word. He said, well, what can you bring me? Hey, man, there's all kind of stuff we can bring out, man. Because I went to this one site, and it's up there. I don't know if you got it. It's on one of the tabs. That's it right there. What does it say? Read the title.
The title is 50 People in the Bible Confirmed Archaeology.
Now when you read that, right? When you read that, it mentions these different Hebrews, these Israelites, by other kings, like Sargon, Shalmaneser III. It mentions all these kings that lived during that time and how they came up against Israel. And I believe they actually mentioned it like they mentioned Jehu, the king. He was a king of Judah, if I'm not mistaken. And they mentioned Pekah, which he ruled Israel, and he was put to death. And I believe it was Hoshea that put him to death, and then he became king.
Yeah.
And he ruled, and then it was Shalmaneser III's grandson that totally took Israel down, and caused him to go up into Assyria. You see, so what the hell are you talking about, nigga? And that's why we got to go into this history, man. You guys got to go into this history. You got to know this history.
Yep.
Man, like we had a so-called Jew come up last week, and he knew his shit. He knew his shit, but he didn't fully understand it. And he said that I was wrong. I said, no. I said, look, my man, you don't know what you're talking about, man. You know. But he wanted to get out of there after a while. You know.
Khan. This is from the New International Dictionary of Biblical Archaeology. This is under the Moabite stone.
Let me say this. Don't try to get this book. You got to be a senator or a congressman. You don't try to get this book. You got to be a senator or a congressman in order to get this book. You know?
Just so you know.
I'm kidding. You can get the book if you try hard enough, but that's something Yeshaya would say. Look, don't try to get this book. You got to be a congress. And I said, well, wait a minute. Since when you become a damn congressman, man? You know?
It says, oh boy. It says Moabite stone, right? It says a basalt slab carrying over 30 lines of writing in ancient Moabite found at Dibon in 1868. The date of the stone is fixed approximately.
Oh, by the way, who found it was a Edomite, a white man, okay? Matter of fact, all those relics that go back to Egypt, they were all dug up by Edomites. Crack it so you can understand. Because my man, Dr. Ben Yakanan, which, by the way, Ben means son of in Hebrew, and Yakanan or Yakaanan is means what is that? Jonathan, right? It means Jonathan or John, you know, which goes back to the Hebrew. He didn't find it. He didn't dig it up, man.
It says the date of the stone is fixed approximately between its references to Mesha, 2 Kings 3 and 4, and is generally placed between 840 and 820 BC. Perhaps about 830 BC, the monument records how Omri, king of Israel, subdued Moab because of the anger of the Most High. Because of the anger of the god Chemosh, and how his son Ahab also ruled the land. Israel occupied the land for 40 years figuratively. Then Chemosh enabled Mesha to reoccupy the lands lost to Israel. A military campaign is described. In the campaign, Mesha took Nebo, but the people put the people to the sword and devoted them to destruction for Chemosh. Joshua 6:17-18 and 21. The name Yahweh, which is really supposed to be Yahweh, is mentioned in line 18. The monument is significant for history, for religion, and for the language and syntax of Moabite. It is the longest inscription yet found in Palestine. You know, which mentions the Most High's name, which mentions different kings' names. So basically, there's relics and artifacts and stuff out there that show that the Israelites existed. You know?
Yeah, because one of them guys, I think it might have been Polite himself, or a few of them. They say that Israel never even Polite said that, I believe, to us. Israel never existed. It was really never no Israel. It was a fabricated nation or something like that.
Yeah, but all these different kings that scholars have proven that they existed, there's always a mention of Israel or a mention of an Israelite king, you know? And then the niggas that are bucking up against it, clowns like Shaka Utmost, he's an Israelite. You know, them guys are Israelites and they bucking up against their own. And like the angel told Paul, why kicketh thou against the pricks? That's what you guys are doing, man. You don't realize that you Israelites and you saying that there's no such thing as an Israelite, but here you are standing there Israelite. That's why you're in that darkness, man. Anyway, let's finish this up and let's go back to Abraham. Okay. You see how fast that history is? Man, we can go. Look, let me say this: we can go from here to the time where the missiles come and go into history and keep going, man. The history is so vast. There's so many turns. Like going back to Shaka Moses.